My name is Clara, and my husband is Mark. This is the story of how our dream of owning a peaceful home turned into a nightmare because of the family of my husband. It is a story about greed and anger and how we had to stand up for ourselves. Mark and I always wanted to live in the countryside. We both grew up in busy cities, and we did not like the noise and the traffic. We want a place with clean air where we could grow our own food and have animals. For the first 5 years of our marriage, we lived in a very small and cheap apartment. We worked 2 jobs each. Mark worked as an accountant during the day and did tax work at night. I worked as a school teacher during the day and tutored students in the evening. We did not go on vacations. We did not buy new clothes unless we really had to. We did not eat at restaurants. We saved every single dollar we could because we had a big goal. 2 years ago, we finally had enough money to buy a house. We began looking at properties online every night. One day we saw a listing for an old farmhouse in a quiet rural valley in Ohio. The house was built in the year 1920. It had a big red barn and 5 acres of beautiful green land. The house had been empty for 3 years, and it looked very sad. The paint on the wood was peeling off. The garden was full of tall weeds. Some of the windows were broken, but we saw the potential. We knew we could fix it ourselves. The interesting thing about this property was its history. 50 years ago, the grandfather of Mark owned this exact land. He was a farmer, but he was not good with money. He spent too much money and did not pay his bills. The bank took the farm away from him. It was a very sad time for the family. A family of strangers bought the farm at an auction and lived there for 50 years. When the last member of that family died, their children decided to sell the property. That was when we saw it. We were very excited. We felt like we were bringing the land back into the family. We made an offer, and the sellers accepted it. We paid for the house with our own savings. We did not get any help from anyone. We were very proud of ourselves. We decided to invite the parents of Mark over to tell them the good news. We bought a nice cake and made coffee. When they arrived, we told them that we bought the old family farm. The father of Mark was very quiet. The mother of Mark started to cry. We thought she was happy, but then she said that it was not fair that we owned it. She said that the farm should belong to the whole family. She said that the grandfather would have wanted all of his grandchildren to live there. We did not understand why she was saying this. We explained that we bought the house with our own money. We told her that it was not given to us, but she did not care. A few days later, the brother of Mark called us. His name is Jacob. Jacob is 2 years older than Mark. Jacob has always been a difficult person. He does not like to work hard. He has had many different jobs, but he always quits after a few weeks. He says that the work is too hard or that his boss is not nice to him. Jacob is married to Sarah, and they have 3 young children. They live in a small apartment in a loud part of the city. They do not have a lot of money, and they always ask the parents of Mark for help. Jacob was very angry on the phone. He told Mark that the farm belonged to him because he is the oldest son. He said that Mark was selfish for buying the farm without asking him. Mark told him that anyone could have bought the farm because it was on the market for everyone to see. He told Jacob that if he wanted the farm, he should have saved his money and bought it. Jacob called Mark a bad brother and hung up the phone. We decided to ignore the anger of Jacob. We were busy with our new house. We moved our things into the farmhouse and began to work. We spent every weekend fixing the place. We replaced the broken windows. We painted the walls a bright white color. We repaired the roof so it would not leak when it rained. We worked in the garden for hours. We pulled out all the weeds and planted tomatoes and potatoes and lettuce and squash. We were very tired, but we were very happy. We felt like we were building our future. 3 months after we moved in, we received a phone call from the mother of Mark. Her voice was very soft and sweet. She asked us how we were doing. Then she said that she had a great idea. She said that Jacob and Sarah were having a hard time paying their rent. She said that their apartment was too small for 3 children. She proposed that Jacob and Sarah and their children move into our farmhouse with us. She said that the house was big enough. She said that we had 3 bedrooms and we did not have any children yet. She said that we could live like a big, happy family. She said that this would make the grandfather very happy in heaven. I was shocked by this request. I told the mother of Mark that we cannot do that. I told her that we wanted our privacy. I told her that the house only had 1 bathroom, and it would be too crowded with 7 people. I also told her that we were planning to start our own family soon, and we needed the bedrooms for our future children. The mother of Mark became very angry. Her voice was no longer soft. She said that I was a cold and selfish woman. She said that I was dividing the family. She told me that if we did not help Jacob, we were not part of the family anymore. She hung up the phone before I could say anything else. We felt very sad, but we stood our ground. We did not hear from them for a few weeks. We hoped that they had accepted our decision. Then came a Saturday morning in the middle of summer. It was a beautiful warm day. Mark and I were sitting on our porch drinking tea. We were looking at our garden, which was growing very well. Suddenly, we heard a loud engine. We looked down our long gravel driveway. We saw a large yellow moving truck driving toward our house. Behind the moving truck was the car of Jacob. The truck stopped right in front of our red barn. Jacob and Sarah got out of their car. They did not look at us. They opened the back doors of their car, and their 3 children ran out. The children immediately ran into our garden. They started jumping on our tomato plants and pulling the young squash from the vines. Mark and I ran down the steps of the porch. Mark asked Jacob what he was doing. Jacob looked at us with a big smile. He said that they were moving in. He said that their lease on their apartment had ended and they did not renew it. He said that they had no other place to go. He said that his mother told him that we would welcome them because we are family. I was so angry that my hand was shaking. I told Jacob that they could not move in. I told him that we had already said no to his mother. I told him that this was our private property and they were trespassing. Sarah walked up to me. She was very close to my face. She said that I did not deserve this beautiful house. She said that her children deserved to play in a big yard. She turned to the 2 men who were driving the moving truck. She told them to start carrying the heavy wooden dressers and boxes into our front door. The 2 movers looked very uncomfortable. They could see that we were arguing. One of the movers asked who owned the house. I stood in front of our door. I looked at the movers and said that my husband and I owned this house. I told them that we did not hire them and we did not give permission for anyone to bring anything into our home. I told them that if they did not leave our property immediately, I would call the local police. The movers did not want to get involved in family drama. They did not want to get arrested. They told Jacob that they were sorry, but they could not carry the furniture inside. They told him that they would unload the furniture onto the grass or they would drive away. Jacob became furious. He started screaming at the movers. Then he turned to Mark and started screaming at him. He called Mark a terrible brother. He said that Mark was a puppet and that I was controlling him. He said that we were leaving his children homeless. Mark looked very sad, but he was very strong. He told Jacob that he had to leave. He told him that he had no right to show up without our permission. Jacob realized that he could not win. He told the movers to drive away. He and Sarah got back into their car. They grabbed their children from our ruined garden. Jacob drove away so fast that his tires threw gravel all over our lawn. They left the moving truck and all of their boxes on our driveway because they had nowhere else to put them. An hour later, the phone of Mark started ringing. It was his mother. She was screaming so loudly that I could hear her from across the room. She called Mark a monster. She said that Jacob and Sarah and the children had to sleep in a cheap motel by the highway because of us. She said that she would never forgive him. She said that he was no longer her son. Mark started to cry. He sat on the kitchen floor and cried for a long time. It broke my heart to see him so sad. I sat next to him and held his hand. I told him that he did not do anything wrong. I told him that his family was being unfair and manipulative. We spent the rest of the day moving the boxes of Jacob into our barn. We did not want the rain to ruin their clothes and furniture. We wanted to be responsible even if they were not. 2 days later, Jacob came back with a different truck. He did not look at us. He did not say a word. He just loaded his boxes from the barn and left. After that day, there was complete silence. None of the family members of Mark would talk to us. They blocked us on social media. They did not answer our calls. When Thanksgiving came, we were not invited. When Christmas came, we spent it alone in our farmhouse. It was a very quiet and sad winter. I tried my best to make the holidays special for Mark. We decorated a small tree and made a nice dinner. My own parents called us and told us that we did the right thing. They supported us completely. In the spring, we thought the drama was finally over. We were wrong. One afternoon, we received a letter in the mail. It was a legal letter from a lawyer. The father of Mark was suing us. The letter said that the father was claiming that the farmhouse was purchased using money from a secret family trust. He claimed that the grandfather had left a sum of money for all of his grandchildren and that we used that money to buy the farm. He wanted the court to force us to sell the house and divide the money equally between Mark and Jacob. This was a complete lie. There was never any secret trust fund. The grandfather died with many debts and no money at all. We had saved every dollar ourselves. We had worked 70 hours a week for 5 years to buy this home. We had to hire a lawyer to defend ourselves. This was very expensive. We had to pay $5,000 of our hard-earned savings to our lawyer. We were very stressed and we could not sleep. The day of the court hearing arrived. We sat on one side of the courtroom. The father of Mark and Jacob sat on the other side. They did not look at us. Our lawyer presented our evidence to the judge. We showed all of our bank statement from the last 7 years. We showed our tax returns. We showed exactly how much money we made and how much we saved. We showed the deed of the house, which was only in our names. The lawyer, the father of Mark, had nothing. He did not have any documents. He did not have any bank records. He only had the verbal statement of the father, who said he believed there was a trust. The judge was very angry. The judge told the father of Mark that he was wasting the time of the court. The judge dismissed the case immediately. The judge also ordered the father of Mark to pay for all of our legal fees because the lawsuit was frivolous. We felt a huge sense of relief. We hugged each other and cried. We thought that now they would finally leave us alone. But the anger of Jacob was too great. A week after the court hearing, we were sleeping in our bedroom. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. Suddenly, our dog started barking very loudly. He was scratching at the front door. Mark woke up. He looked out the window that faced the backyard. He saw an orange light reflecting on the trees. He ran to the window. He saw someone standing near our red barn. There was a fire growing at the base of the wooden barn door. Mark ran down the stairs. He grabbed the fire extinguisher from the kitchen. He ran outside. I ran to the phone and called the emergency number for the police and the fire department. Mark was very brave. He ran close to the fire and used the extinguisher. He was able to put out the flames before they reached the dry hay inside the barn. The fire only damaged the outer wood door and left a big black mark of soot. As I was looking out the window, I saw a figure running into the thick woods behind our property. Mark found a red plastic gas can lying in the grass near the barn door. The police and the fire department arrived very quickly. They examined the scene. We told the police about the court case. We told them about the lawsuit and the anger of Jacob. We told them that we believed Jacob did this. The police went to the motel where Jacob and Sarah were staying. It was only 10 minutes away. They found Jacob there. His hands and arms were covered in black soot. His clothes smelled strongly of gasoline. He had a box of matches in his jacket pocket. The police arrested him on the spot. The next morning, the mother of Mark called me. She did not call Mark because she knew he would not answer. She was crying hysterically. She begged me to drop the charges. She said that Jacob was a good father and that he made a mistake because he was stressed. She said that if we did not drop the charges, he would go to prison and his children would grow up without a father. I listened to her cry, but I felt no pity. I told her that Jacob tried to burn down our home. I told her that we were sleeping inside the house and the fire could have spread and killed us. I told her that she should have stopped him from acting so crazy before it reached this point. I told her that he had to face the consequences of his actions. I hung up the phone. Jacob went to court for trial. The evidence against him was very strong. He was found guilty of arson. The judge sentenced him to 3 years in prison. Sarah had to pack up their things and move back to live with her parents in another city. She still sends us letters full of angry words sometimes. We do not read them. We put them directly into our wood stove to burn. The parents of Mark decided to sell their house and move to another state far away. They have not contacted us since the trial. Mark is still sad about losing his parents and his brother. It is a hard thing to accept that your own family would hurt you like that. But he knows that we had to protect ourselves. It has been 1 year since that terrible night. Our farm is now very beautiful and peaceful. The garden is full of fresh vegetables. We have 10 chickens that run around the yard and give us fresh eggs every morning. And we have the best news of all. I am pregnant. We are expecting a baby boy in 3 months. We are preparing his nursery. We decided not to paint over the black soot mark on our red barn. We keep it there. It is a symbol of our strength. It reminds us that we fought for our home and we won. We are happy and we are safe and we are ready to welcome our son into a peaceful world. That is all that matters.